Good evening. This is Maestro with the Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast. Today, we have a Best-of-5 Faction War series between the Space Marines and the Tyranids. We're going to start off on Estia Province, and we're also going to start off with the Tenso here, playing as the Space Marine Apothecary, healing commander with a targeted heal and a passive health regeneration aura. It's going to be Bruce Campbell on the Tech Marine, a ranged, shooty Space Marine commander with a gun for every occasion and the ability to repair vehicles. Finally, for the Space Marines, it's going to be Noisy, playing as the Force Commander, tanky melee hero who buffs and disrupts with Battlecry. Their opponents, starting off with oLev with this rather colorful Hive Tyrant. Very tanky, destructive melee hero who walks through cover and cannot be suppressed. YZ going to be playing as that infiltrating Lictor Alpha melee assassin commander with displacement. And finally, it's going to be RedRevenge, the global mobility commander with tunnels and range damage. So, got Tyranids yet again, some of the same Tyranid players, and, you know, overall, we have yet another kind of like high-level faction war. All of these players are quite good at the game, so nice high-level faction war ahead of us. Tyranids, a race that isn't particularly well represented. It's just, I guess, not the most popular race, so, or at least, there's certainly a lot of players who are quite good at Tyranids, but it's probably not a lot of people's favorite races. oLev and RedRevenge, definitely Tyranid mains, though. YZ, I think he's probably also Tyranid main. Meanwhile, our Force Commander going to be looking to get into melee with the Ravener Alpha. Ravener Alpha does dodge the special attack the first time. Second time, he'll actually dodge it again, but he has to hit the retreat button in order to do it. I think he kind of knew there that if he had taken the special attack there and gotten himself knocked down, it actually would have been a decent chance for the wipe on the Ravener Alpha. Meanwhile, talking about wipes, going to be the Apothecary going down from a flesh hook from the Lictor Alpha, and he was already at such low health after he got hooked. Seems like he was staying in combat for quite a while. The Apothecary, it's, you know, for all his strengths, the Apothecary is definitely one of the weaker combatants as far as commanders go. You know, he has got lower baseline health than that Force Commander, so although he fights in melee, he's not particularly tanky, and he doesn't have a whole lot of staying power unless you use the heal on yourself, on the commander itself, which is generally not desirable. Ideally, you want to be using that heal either on Tactical Marines or Assault Marines. Force Commander going to be in melee right here, uses Battlecry, knocks down a few models. Scout's going to be short, supporting him from the side. Tactical Marines trying to support him from another angle, but Tactical Marines already at half their health. Force Commander getting pretty low there, realizing that if he stays there any longer, there's a decent chance he does go down. Meanwhile, Scouts, they're going to have to run away from these Hormagaunts. Hormagaunts trying to leap into combat against them, certainly doing some damage on retreats to them, but some supporting fire going to come in the form of the Tactical Marines, as well as the Scouts sitting in cover right here. Scouts possibly getting at risk of losing another model. Hormagaunts chase after them, though. And it's going to be the Tactical Marines alone at this point, and even the Termagants kind of respecting the tax, even though the tax at only about half their health. Once they're in that cover, they're just Tactical Marines are just so strong in cover. I'm pretty sure, and this is probably not even a hard statement to say, but I'm pretty sure Tactical Marines in cover basically have an advantage over any other Tier 1 squad, even if they have equal cover. So I think the only units that might really be able to contend with the Tactical Marines in that kind of situation, the only other ranged units, that is, would be like ranged commanders like the Commando Nob or the Tech Marine. Double Hormagaun's going to be chasing after all these Tactical Marines. Scouts actually do have a Shotgun Blast ready. Couldn't tell. I wasn't sure, just going by their energy. But it looks like the one Shotgun Blast is not enough, and that is going to nevertheless be a retreat from the Tenso, but he already gets he's so close to his base when he gets pushed back that far. oLev actually does have a triple Hormagaunt build, which we see a lot in 1v1 games. In 3v3 games, a little bit less common, kind of just the more condensed nature in terms of the maps, in terms of how many players and units are out on the field. I think just kind of makes, and just the range nature of 3v3 makes double Termagants a little bit more common in 3v3 than triple Hormagaunt, but, you know, oLev doing it anyway does give a lot of pressure. Anyway, Tactical Marines, not Tactical Marines, Devastator Marines going to get engaged in melee by the Warriors. Meanwhile, we're going to have Scouts get knocked over by the Ravener Alpha, and that Force Commander is going to have to go as well. So that means the Ravener Alpha does have the hardened carapace right here. This is also Noisy being doubled. He calls it, and he managed to get himself out in time before he suffers any big losses. Bruce coming in to support him, but Bruce doesn't actually have that big of an army. He's committed to the double tack build, which is certainly interesting. Double tack, certainly a lot of range damage, a lot of tankiness, not a lot of utility, however. Bruce Campbell also rocking the bionics. I've talked a little bit about this war gear lately. I do personally like it. Haven't actually seen a use of the powerful sweep ability that it gives just yet. Hive Tyrant going to have to get out of there. Just too much range damage against him, even though he's got that Warp Field to give him basically extra health. Warp Field converts the energy that he has into health, more or less. Basically, he loses energy when taking damage at the cost of 1 energy for every 5 damage done. Effectively means to start out that he has an extra 500 hit points, but let's take a look at this. We are going to see the Ravener Alpha moving up. There's no detection against him, so he's going to get that disruption on the Devastator Marines for absolutely free, and that should just be the rest. Yeah, the rest of the army just moves up, and this is a big win for RedRevenge right here. Very well played. No detection yet for Noisy, but he's going to need it, and we indeed see that one of his sergeants is being upgraded on that scout squad. Ravener going to have to get out of there. Ravener Alpha, that is. Tactical Marines from Bruce Campbell still trying to put in some damage from the side. This scout squad right here out of Bruce Campbell already at half health, which means, yeah, they're going to have to retreat at some point, because I don't like the idea of them fighting with only half their health. That's another time where scouts draw out a heal. Unfortunately, that means that heal won't be available for the Tactical Marines, which again really is the higher value usage. He's going to draw the Tyranids towards his Devastator Marine squad, then put his Devastator Marines in the garrison, because there are 2 Raveners right here. If he doesn't put them in the garrison, it's actually a very, very easy burrow strike by the Raveners, and then an easily 1 engagement for the Tenso. So at this moment, oLev actually just going to back off from that, not engage that, especially Tyranids typically don't have the easiest answers to anti-garrison. At least these days they have the Barb Strangler Warrior, which you can later upgrade to Adrenal Glands, but oLev doesn't have that, so he certainly doesn't have an easy answer. Instead, he's just going to move around, move away from the garrison, and see where he can find value elsewhere with this generator bash. He's got 1 generator. He's going to get the node. I feel like at the Raveners, with how fast they do damage, all right, he's looking to see if he can win this engagement. Oh, yeah, he's just trying to find the Devastator Marine squad. He's actually really trying hard to win this engagement, but a lot of damage going in on his Hormiguns. One of those squads eats a grenade, trying to do damage to the generators with it. Man. All right, maybe can oLev finish off this 1 generator at least? It's got so little health left, because I don't think he's winning this fight. I think he's getting forced off eventually, whether he likes it or not. We are going to see the Apothecary does get the knockback on the Raveners. Also upgrades to the Sanguine Chainsword, so a little interesting to see that one. I've certainly seen the Sanguine Chainsword quite a bit, actually, from players, so it definitely is a thing. I'm still a little concerned about it. Meanwhile, I got to be concerned about this Force Commander. Just got revived. Tech Marine himself also in a little bit of trouble. I don't know if he gets out of here alive after he just got a revive on the Force Commander. It's pretty close. I'm trying to keep it in the corner. He eventually does go down. Assault Marines from Noisy will be jumping into this big Tyranid blob. We do also have the Devastator Marines in the garrison, and it turns out that's going to be enough. That's also going to result in a kill on the Ravener Alpha. Activating the Vengeance rounds. And oh my god, the Tactical Marines so low. They need to retreat. Why are they still here? All right, Hive Tyrant's going to go. Looks like a generator is also being destroyed here. What other war gears do we see? That Sanguine Chainsword, as we've seen earlier on. I was thinking a little bit more, maybe Mastercrafted Bolter to kind of keep him out of, just to keep him a little bit more safe. Especially when you're dealing with that Lictor Alpha. As much as you get a lot of extra sustain from this, if you get flesh hooked by that Lictor Alpha, you know, the Apothecary might not get that many chances to take many swings. And you know what's also not going to have a chance? That Hormigon Brood right there. So Razorback out for Bruce Campbell. Sensible choice for particularly a Tech Marine player, but Razorback actually generally good for all Space Marine commanders, but especially the Tech Marine. Hive Tyrant looking to move forward, also looking to upgrade to the Crushing Claws, but he's not in Tier 2 yet, so we see it queued up, but it's not actually upgrading. Look at how expensive those Crushing Claws are. 50 power. 50 power. But that is, of course, also getting you the weapon that has the single highest damage statistic for any commander weapon in the game at 108 heavy melee damage. Does attack rather quickly, however, and in terms of commander weapons, usually weapons that attack slowly tend to be a little bit better because they do more burst. Devastator Marine suppressing at long range. Ooh, yeah, that Apothecary. I mean, he's getting the chain knockback from the Warriors, and the Apothecary, he puts a heal on himself, but I don't know if he gets out. All right, he does get out of there alive, but that's definitely making me question the Sanguine Chainsword purchase a little bit there. I mean, he's in range where he's getting knocked down by the Warriors, and then he doesn't even have the chance to take any swings to keep himself alive. Electroshock Grub on the Razorback, and it's so close to being finished off, and there it will be done. So Razorback is down, didn't have that much long of a life, never even upgraded to extra armor to try to give it a little bit more of a lifespan. Typically, at higher levels of play, it's less likely that you see the extra armor, although particularly in 1v1, but team games, I feel like it's a little bit harder to keep it alive with, just so many players going around. And there's a use of Bionics, not the highest value use of Bionics, knocked a few models aside. Not really in a time when that was going to make a difference in terms of him winning the engagement. So Noisy trying to get a little bit of a generator bash over here, but he's going to be flanked by 2. He needs to get out of here and get out of here fast. Tactical Marines instantly retreat. The Assault Marines, I feel like they might have had a jump. I feel like they maybe should have jumped to try to cover their retreat, get some disruption on retreat. As it is, do they lose a model? I couldn't tell if maybe there was like a sergeant there at model. But regardless of whether or not there was a sergeant, a model does go down right there. Devastator Marines don't have a prayer. They got to get out of here as well. We are going to see Dreadnought come out from the Tenso. Another one also on the way for Noisy. So kind of a tough call here. At this moment, Synapse Backlash goes off on the Warriors. I feel like ranged Dreadnought would be best. Assault Cannon in particular. But if we also do see any of our Tyranid players go for Gene Stealers, then the melee Dreadnought would be really ideal. So it might be a little bit safer to keep them in melee for a little while because, basically just if the opponent does get Gene Stealers, if any of the Tyranid players get Gene Stealers, the melee Dreadnought's a little bit more desirable. The Dreadnought might want to move forward. There are 2 Venom Broods, but a lot of these squads about to eat some Plasma Cannon shots. A lot of squads just going to full retreat after seeing that Plasma Cannon. It does also mitigate some of the damage that they would have taken. Space Marine Dreadnought chasing after the Tyrant Guard. Going to be quite good against the Tyrant Guard, especially if it's actually supported by a whole army. Plasma Gun also coming out as well from the Tenso. Huge damage increase for this Tactical Marine squad against the Tyrant Guard as long as it has the Plasma Gun. Plasma Gun granting a bonus damage, a 50% damage bonus against super heavy infantry armor, whereas the piercing damage of the bolters has a very, very large penalty, although I forget whether it's a 60 or a 70% penalty. I think it's actually 70. Dreadnought potentially in a little bit of trouble, though. We also do see Gene Stealers out of RedRevenge. That's more on Noisy side of the map, though, so a little bit more reason for him to keep the melee Dreadnought. Apothecary, again, just having so much trouble trying to do things in melee. Meanwhile, this Dreadnought, it's not moving anywhere. Seems to be in trouble getting repairs, but it's also so low on health, it's still getting shot at by the Venom Brood, which is being allowed to shoot uncontested, and that will be a Dreadnought down. So unfortunately, these Dreadnoughts not having a very long lifespan. Other Dreadnought for Noisy lasting just a little bit longer and going to be a little bit more important for him to keep alive, because if he does lose that Dreadnought, it's going to make his life a lot harder when dealing with those Gene Stealers, those dirty denim thieves. Right here, still in base. So a lot of focus fire going on the Tyrant Guard. Devastator Marine's probably going to have to back up at some point. Ravener's going to get in here as well. Oh, but there is Bionics knocking over the Raveners. And the war gear is called Bionics, but the ability is called Powerful Sweep. And it's visually kind of hard to see, but especially The knockback goes actually pretty far, and especially if it's used when the Tech Marine is really swarmed, you'll see units just like fly all over the place. Tactical Marines trying to back up. Unfortunately, the lead model of the Devastator Marine Squad is hooked, and that does mean that squad's going to have to get out of there. Definitely a big lost engagement for our Space Marine players as the Tyranids approach. Double cap for the Space Marines, though, with a rather strong victory point lead, 394 to 171. So our Space Marine players actually having really the better end of things here. Interesting set of upgrades we got out of our Force Commander. We have the Power Sword, the Sacred Standard, and gonna have the Artificer Armor as well. Artificer Armor is pretty typical, but between the Sacred Standard and the Power Sword, this is something that I'd say I don't see this too often, but I definitely understand the theme behind it. It's both offensive and support oriented. Basically, you certainly look to be aggressive, but you're more about buffing your units than you are about doing damage with the Force Commander himself. Although he'll certainly do pretty good damage against the Warriors. Works particularly well with the Assault Marines, since both of those units want to get in close. It basically just means those Assault Marines actually going to be hitting really, really hard. Raw damage, not normally really a strength of the Assault Marines, but if they're supported by this Force Commander with both the Power Sword as well as the Sacred Standard, their damage is going to be nothing to sneeze at or joke about or whatever. Force Commander, though, is out of there, so he's not even going to be able to support his Assault Marines. Assault Marines seem to be doing just fine anyway. Imagine if the Force Commander was still here, what kind of damage they'd be doing. Nice Emperor's Fist, or Fist of the Emperor, knocking down those Gene Stealers. Gene Stealers really low at this point. Gene Stealers down to, okay, they lose they're left with 2 of their models. Oh my god, and this Ravener Alpha also in quite a bit of trouble as well. I think he goes down in retreat, and indeed he does. Meanwhile, up here, we're going to see big Ravener Burrow stunning a bunch of, oh no, Flesh Hook on the Sergeant, I can't even talk, on the Sergeant of the Scout Squad. So this goes back to a little bit about some of the things that, we talked about in the previous faction war with the Imperial Guard versus the Tyranids. In this case, we're seeing the Flesh Hook being used on the Scout Sergeant. Another die last model. Cataclysm going to knock over that entire army except for the Terminators. So Flesh Hook pulls in that Scout Sergeant, but since he's a die last model, he literally will take damage on behalf of the entire squad, and that means that if he actually just stays there, takes all the damage, the entire squad can get wiped, even if the Scout Sergeant is the only one actually taking damage. Oh, it's going to be a wipe on the Warriors. Gene Stealers, meanwhile, they get out of there with 1 model only. No, they had 2, and now they get out of there with 1 model. Unfortunately, the Dreadnought might be traded out for all that, and indeed, the Dreadnought will be gone. Neurothrope is out here. Neurothrope, I can't actually... Oh, yes, this is for YZ. So we've seen a little bit of that Neurothrope using Paroxysm, using Cataclysm. Terminator shooting in ranged, and Bruce Campbell is going to be getting a Predator alongside all that. Plasma attacks doing massive amounts of damage to these Warriors. Warriors going to have to retreat out of there. So our Tyranid players getting into the double digits in terms of victory points, so things looking a little bit rough for them. It's strange. There are actually many ways in which I feel things have been looking rough for our Space Marine players. I mean, with the way some of the Scout Squads have been killed, losing the Razorback, losing 2 Dreadnoughts, but they've got a massive victory point lead at the moment. The Apothecary has also had a really tough time as well. Oh, this Tyrant card all by itself going to have to go into Shield Wall at some point. All right, finally does activate Shield Wall. Devastator Marines targeting it, but Devastator Marines will also get flanked by the Hormigons. We do have Tyranids kind of coming in from the side against the Tenso, but Bruce Campbell is here to support. Bruce Campbell upgrades to the Assault Cannon on the Terminator squad. Roughly doubles the damage of the Terminators, and I don't want you to be all like, no, technically it's more like 80 or 90%, because it actually is, but it's a little bit easier to say that it almost doubles the damage of a single Terminator model. It goes up to 59.73. That's on the Assault Cannon model. The regular storm bolters do about 33 DPS. Meanwhile, oh no! Terminator's hit by crippling poison, though. Tier 1 ability from the Termagants that actually works out quite well against the Terminators. Crippling poison. But in that case, there's still just overwhelming firepower against these Tyranids that it is a loss in terms of disengagement for the Tyranids. Looks like at some point our Tyranid players even wanted to concede, as they're down to less than, or technically fewer is the grammatically correct word to say, fewer than 50 victory points.
We have lost a generator to enemy fire.
But RedRevenge wants to keep fighting. Neurothrop capturing the point kind of looks kind of funny. But he can do it. Or it. Whatever. Apothecary. Man, the Apothecary went down again. So, yeah, that Apothecary, he's died a lot in this game. By my count, I think he died 4 times.
An ally has taken a victory point. Target acknowledged.
New scout squad for Noisy to replace the one that he lost. It's really rough going against that Lictor Alpha with that Flesh Hook. Meanwhile, it's also rough going for our Tyranid players. Really got their backs against the ropes now. Down to about 30 victory points. Hive Tyrant going to go for the cap. He'll activate Warp Field to try to tank it. He's still taking so much damage. He needs someone to take over the cap for him, and he might go down in retreat anyway. He does. He does also activates a Synapse Backlash. Now down to just about 20-ish victory points for the Tyranids. Warrior's going to pick up the cap. Ravener's going to die really far forward. However, we do have the Carnifex tanking up front. Throws out a Bioplasma. Complete miss, though. Warriors trying to get the cap. 19 victory points only for the Tyranids. One of those models go down. However, this is a paroxysm right here, doing percent-based damage to all the units caught inside. Particularly useful against those high health squads, such as the Terminators. Alright, Tyranids stay in this for the time being with a double cap. And we're also going to have another Neurothrop come out of the field. This one's going to be for RedRevenge. The other one was for YZ. So while we do have a little bit of a break, or do we? We're going to see Noisy be accosted by some Gene Stealers. Oh no, we got the double Denim Thieves right here. But they'll actually just move away, because at this point there isn't actually that much value out of trying to chase down Noisy. Especially if Noisy is really going far to the right side of the map. Meanwhile, this Neurothrop right here from YZ, I believe it was from YZ, because we should have had two Neurothropes. I don't know where RedRevenge's is. But that Neurothrop just taken down, just eating all that damage from the double Assault Cannon Terminator. Bioplasma connects on the Predator. Predator's really low. Meanwhile, the Apothecary chasing after the Carnifex in melee. Oh no, this Apothecary is going to get knocked down again. I don't know what's going on with this Apothecary. Maybe it's all just a bait. Oh, Apothecary trying to get some kills here. I think it's more so the Terminators. Do they finish off that Warrior model? 64 hit points, 39, 40, 29, and it looks like it's going to get out of there alive. Meanwhile, Terminators finding themselves in melee with the Gene Stealers. Gene Stealers then turn on the Tactical Marines, who just have to retreat. I guess our Tactical Marines did not have, and they shall know no fear. Otherwise, they might have been able to stay in there against the Gene Stealers. Double plasma attacks moving around. No missile launcher attacks in this game. At least not that I can see. Double checking all that, so we don't make a liar out of me. Yeah, no missile launcher attacks. In fact, these attacks, no upgraded weapon whatsoever. That's going to be a Tyranid formation, though. Tyranid formation kind of disrupts the Space Marine formations. Unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be a dead Force Commander right here. It's pretty close. That is a dead Force Commander. Thornback Carnifex charging in, though. Does get hit by a Melt-A-Bomb. And on this side, we are going to see the Terminators. They're in pretty far here, right next to that Carnifex. They're kind of a long way from home. Hive Tyrant goes down. Parmagon's chasing after these scouts. Scouts getting a decap. Scouts, are they looking for it? No. What are the scouts doing here? Scout's getting flesh hooked. Oh no, that's another. Is that another Scout Sergeant flesh hooked? Yes, it is, and that's another dead Scout squad. I don't know if I said this before, but I was interested. I'm someone who's very, very hesitant to make suggestions about balance because a lot of people say, "Oh, I think this should happen. I think this should happen," and it's so easy to say, but a lot of times there are just so many potential unintended consequences of like one balance change. But if there's one idea that I've entertained, it's what if Flesh Hook for the Lictor Alpha was not a baseline ability? What if you needed to upgrade to a warrior to get it? And I don't think this is crazy. I think the ability is actually just so incredibly good. I think it's probably the best baseline commander ability in the game. And even when you include all abilities that are upgraded through warriors, I think it's still one of the best abilities in the game for a commander. Las Cannon Predator chasing after that Carnifex. There's a Thornback Carnifex. Only one more shot will finish it, but doesn't chase. Meanwhile, this Carnifex also in a huge amount of trouble. This one is only a Venom Cannon Carnifex. Does not have as much health as the Thornback. Las Cannon Devastator still targeting. I think the Las Cannon Devastator still gets one more shot. The Las Cannon Predator could finish it off. I think it's moving forward, trying to find it. But again, another Carnifex gets out of there with only within one shot of being killed entirely. Okay, Tech Marine now certainly has some upgrades, going full melee this time. Axe of the Mechanicum, a Refractor Field, in addition to those Bionics that he already had. Man, I don't know if that was the play, though. Already taken so much damage. All right, now that he's actually in melee, he might actually get a lot done. Another use of Bionics right there, or rather, the Powerful Sweep. Only tough thing about this build is that, oh man, he does also have just so much energy, so he's certainly quite tanky. The Apothecary, though, not tanky enough. Goes down again. Venom Cannon Carnifex trying to take some shots at the Predator. I think one more shot. No, it's getting repairs. And now the Venom Cannon Carnifex not targeting the Predator. I think probably the Predator moving in and out, messing up the targeting of the Carnifex. Again, one more shot from the Predator would finish off this Carnifex. This is the third time now seeing a Carnifex get out of here when it would have been killed in just one more shot. Man, the Carnifex is having a rough time. Ravener does try to clear the way for the Carnifex by getting on the Devastators. Devastators are not retreating. Whoever's Devastators these are, I think they belong to, I can't tell who they belong to. They belong to the Tenso. They're going to get wiped. They don't belong to anyone now, except for the Emperor. All right, finally, do we see? I think this is still one more shot. Yes. Oh, and wow, I totally lost track of the victory points. That is the double cap. And that is the 180-0 in favor of our Space Marines. So, game one goes to them, and now it's time for game number 2. All right, game number 2 of our Best of 5 Faction War series will take place on Death World Temple. Our first player is going to be the Tenso, playing as the Tech Marine. Next up, going to be Bruce Campbell, playing as the Force Commander. And it's going to be Noisy, playing as yet another Force Commander. Their opponents are Tyranid players, RedRevenge, staying on that Ravener Alpha. oLev, once again, going to be playing as this rather colorful Hive Tyrant. And it's going to be YZ on the Lictor Alpha. So then, I find it interesting and kind of funny that we see our Space Marine players actually do not have an Apothecary this time. Because going into this second game, I was going to kind of say, although obviously our Space Marine players won, but certainly if there was one thing that I was critical of from the Space Marines, I would say it was the Apothecary really, really struggled there. And if we did see Apothecary again, I honestly would not want to see the Sanguine Chainsword build again. I mean, I understand sometimes you're just trying to do it, just trying to see if you can make it work, but I think it was pretty clear that time it didn't. Anyway, Force Commander going to be chasing after the Hormagaunts. Scouts now in a little bit of a rough position, so they'll start running away. We do have the Force Commander still chasing. Tactical Marines, as well as another set of Scouts, kind of just being kited back as the Hive Tyrant walks at them on this side. Wow, this is the Tech Marine really just moving back. Tenso having a little bit of a tough time here as well. Scouts, oh no, that's such a rough position for them to get in. They lose one model, they lose probably two, they might even lose three. That's such a close call. Oh my god, that was pretty rough for them. So kind of an aggressive push here by RedRevenge. I think those scouts here were just trying to capture this requisition point and then just found themselves in a little bit of a rough position in terms of their retreat. So lucky to make it out of there alive. And the Lictor Alpha right here, he's also going to be really oppressive. And of course, one of the things that's oppressive about this Lictor Alpha, it's tier 1 right now. And who is our player right here? Noisy does not have a sergeant, so he can't detect the Lictor Alpha when he's infiltrated. So there are a lot of times when he's very much at the mercy of the Lictor Alpha. Lictor Alpha actually nearly goes down there, so almost overstaying his welcome. Does just barely get out of there alive. Shotgun blast on to the Hormagaunts. Actually brings them down to like 2 of their models. Termagants trying to chase after the low health scouts that are actually still have all 3 of their models. And that ends up being a pretty nice win for Noisy. Really managing that engagement that well. Good micro on the scouts. Kind of baiting the Termagants into a bad position. So Noisy definitely kind of has the conundrum where he doesn't have detection yet, so he can't see the Lictor Alpha, so he's very much at the mercy of the Lictor Alpha. But even once he gets the oh my god, let's get the words out of my mouth. Even once he gets the detection, we've seen just how hard it is to even keep that scout squad alive, because now you have the Die Last Sergeant model that can just be pulled in, and then the whole squad can get wiped. It's pretty rough. Ravener Alpha taking some shots at the scout, so they'll pull back, try to bait the Ravener into the range of the Tech Marine. Ravener right here, you know, shooting head-to-head with the Tactical Marines and the Scouts, but the Termagants and the Warriors will come to support. Toxin Sacks being upgraded. Meanwhile, in the middle, we are going to see the focus fire on the Hive Tyrant somewhat. Battle Cry going out. This is again the triple Hormagaun build from oLev again, so he's the one who still likes going for that. Shotgun Blast, however, will knock some scouts back. Tactical Marines in a little bit of trouble, trying to tank it out there because the Hormagaunts are also so low. Tactical Marines, we're definitely seeing a lot of good examples of times when players are having a very good sense of just how long to keep their units in, except for, I don't know, maybe oLev not so much, but certainly Bruce Campbell right here certainly doing a good job of that. And it's a tough call because although you don't want to retreat units prematurely, the way Bruce Campbell's keeping those Tactical Marines alive, part of it's also just luck. Like, he's at half health. There are times when you can lose models with this amount of health. Certainly lose one. Assault Marines, okay, they can't jump. They're pretty low on energy, so they've already used their jump at some point. Oh no, the Scout's getting in too close there. They get knocked down. Tech Marine has the Mastercrafted Bolter. I think the Ravener Alpha goes down on retreat. Indeed, he does. Assault Marine's pretty low, though. He's trying to brute force his way over, like, trying to... That was interesting, because normally the Tax and the Assault Marines want to fight ranged units, because dedicated melee units do a lot of damage, but there he was counting on the higher health pools of the combination of the Tax and the Assault Marines to overwhelm that squad of Hormagaunts, and in the end it worked. Force Commander, yet another Power Sword Force Commander out of Noisy. Now, aside from, you know, the kind of the supporting build that I talked about it before, which it does make sense. We see the Assault Marines out of Noisy again, and those two pair pretty well, just giving extra damage buffing to those Assault Marines when they're jumping into combat. Of course, just a big reason for this Power Sword is that it does make the Force Commander so much more threatening against those Warriors. He's just going to have a much better time of popping one of those models and triggering the Synapse backlashes. Shotgun Scouts, meanwhile, going to find themselves in combat with the Raveners. Raveners doing a huge amount of damage. Shotgun Scouts eventually need to get out of there. Another squad of Shotgun Scouts coming in to support. Get a Shotgun Blast. Mostly hits the Raveners and not the Hormagaunts. So Tactical Marines still potentially in trouble, but so are some of the Hormagaunts. And, I mean, this triple Hormagaunt build actually not working out very well for oLev at all, and he loses 2 of them there. One squad of scouts here for Noisy, really low on hit points. We do have the Raveners covering. Yeah, I think Noisy realizes that this is lost and he needs to just get out of here. Assault Marines jump in. He's trying to do this, though. What happened? I guess, I don't know what I missed, why the Raveners did not have a burrow ready for the Devastator Marines. This is borderline holdable. The Lictor Alpha, though, he's going for it, and he finally does get into melee. Or, well, now he finally does get into melee with the Devastator Marines. But the Tax and the Scouts, rather, the Tax and the Assault Marines will absolutely just rip the Termagants apart. Devastator Marine's going to be looking for the Garrison. Now they'll actually just turn around and set back up. I think the Lictor Alpha actually needs to retreat at this point. Yeah. So triple cap for our Space Marine players, 468 to 279. We do have the new offensive, but oLev barely has any units now after losing all of those Hormagaunts. I don't know, he's been trying to do this triple Hormagaunt thing, but, you know, maybe in 3v3, double Termagant is just the way to go. So Noisy still doing a lot of work over here. Noisy is such an old school player. These days, he's not the best 1v1 player. There are definitely players that have surpassed him, but like he's been playing this game for so long. He's been good for so long. Like it's almost to the point where like he's not just a good player. He's like an institution in this game. Tenso getting a little bit low here on the Tech Marine. He's letting the Tech Marine get focused down. He loses the Tech Marine, but if he can trade out the Ravener... Oh my god, the Ravener Brood got out of there with 1 hit point. Alright, even considering he didn't take out the Ravener, this is still looking pretty suffocating by the Space Marines against the Tyranids. Should just be another generator going down. It's going to be some kind of call-in right here. What are we going to have? Raveners? Yep, going to be Raveners. Raveners trying to put in some of that range damage on the Scouts. Now looking for melee damage on the Tactical Marines. Now looking for some disruption, and that'll be enough to scare the Tenso off the field. Noisy, however, being pushed back. Force Commander will be okay, though. His power farm, is that going to be okay? That is part of the question. Devastator Marines trying to set up, but we see a different angle of approach from YZ. YZ? What is he doing over here? Oh, yeah, he's fighting against YZ. What am I talking about? Oh, but the double, I guess. Bruce Campbell comes in with the double, so YZ probably realized that. Nice grenade right there. Getting quite a few of those Termagant models. Meanwhile, Lictor Alpha's still around, but now he does retreat.
The enemy is destroying an allied base.
Tech Marine has been bought back. And we are going to have a Razorback out as well.
Issuing new weapon loadouts.
That heavy bolter on the Razorback going to just be putting out constant damage. 55 range DPS, 55 piercing DPS, and the Hive Tyrant, he just goes down. What happened? oLev, I mean, I do hate to say it, but unfortunately this really just is not oLev's game. He hasn't played well. Force Commander's going to be brought in a way that's almost engaged in his favor. He eventually does have to retreat. Does he go down here? Looks like not. So this time he's going for the Teleporter Pack. He had the Power Sword before, but now going for the Teleporter Pack and the Thunderhammer. This is also very common. Basically, just the idea behind it is you're looking to just teleport in to a big enemy range blob. You activate Battle Cry so that you're disrupting like 3-4 squads at a time. Assault Marines jump in, getting more disruption. Tyrant Guard going to be left here alone, as we do see a model going down for the Warriors and triggering yet more of that Synapse backlash. Yet again, we do have a massive victory point lead for our Space Marine players. And we also have the concede from the Tyranids, so that is going to be game number 2, also going in favor of the Space Marines. Looking pretty good for them. They only need one more to close it out. All right, game number 3 in our best-of-5 series will take place on Katrin Purification Plant. Our first player going to be Noisy, playing as that Force Commander. The Tenso going to be playing as the Tech Marine. Bruce Campbell going to be playing as yet another Force Commander. Their opponents, all the same commanders. Going to be RedRevenge. Oh, wait. Same commanders, but a different player. RedRevenge going to be playing as the Ravener Alpha. YZ as the Lictor Alpha. And finally, Assman going to be stepping in. Stepping in for oLev, playing as the Hive Tyrant.
An ally has secured a power node.
So then, obviously our Tyranid players got their backs up against the ropes, and we see, once again, we're going for the double Force Commander with the Tech Marine, so not bothering with that Apothecary. Definitely was struggling just too much in game 1. So I guess that's why they just decided not to have it. Meanwhile, Tech Marine does get flesh hooked in. Loses about 70% of his health in the process, though. So again, that flesh hook, such a powerful ability.
An ally has secured a requisition point.
All right, Tactical Marines, they're a little bit too close here. If it was only the term against, they could force melee, but when there's Hormagaunts and a Lictor Alpha there, and another term against squad, just too much for them, so this is going to be the Tenso getting forced off. Hormagaunts approaching right here, trying to chase after these scouts. The scouts trying to just give them, I don't know, they're just playing ring around the rosy at this point, just running away. Scouts do have melee resistance, so they do take some reduced damage to melee, but, well, eventually they will take damage. But in this case, they managed to not lose a single model, while other squads just kind of focus fired the Hormagaunts. Tech Marine, not Tech Marine, Hive Tyrant also going to be is going to be focused down as well. Shotgun's going to be upgraded, going to do even more damage when kiting those squads, and of course just providing that ever valuable shotgun blast when you need to get some Hormagaunts off your face. Emperor's Wrath is a Commissar Warrior, so I don't know what that's all about. Tactical Marines are here. I don't think they're fully in cover. A Tactical Marine model will be pulled in. It's most likely a dead Tactical Marine model. Indeed it is. There it is. Force Commander's in here. He's already at so few hit points. So the ranged heavy Tyranid builds definitely doing quite a number, but we also have the Tactical Marines moving up. Those Termagants, you know, they're certainly taking some damage themselves. One of those Tactical Marine squads still actually just here with the 2 models. That's the one that did have one of the models pulled in by the Flesh Hook. Meanwhile, over here, we are going to see another Force Commander. This one also getting pretty low on hit points. So, I mean, we're seeing this Force Commander get out of here with less than 100 hit points. Ooh, still a chance he goes down in retreat. I don't think it's too big anymore, especially since he didn't retreat through the Warriors like I thought he would. Shotgun Blast just to slow things down a little bit more. Unfortunately, Shotgun Blast the Warriors away, but doesn't catch the Hormagaunts. Hormagaunts managed to get into melee with the Devastator Marines. This is kind of a rough time for Bruce Campbell. He's trying not to retreat, and he's trying to reset up the Devastator Marines, but they can't quite. They're setting up too close. Tactical Marines, oh no, they're going to lose. They've already lost a model, actually. They might lose another, but here is the support from the Tenso coming in from the side. Grenade is thrown, but does not actually connect. And at this time, RedRevenge realizes what's going on. He does back off, and, I mean, he backs off kind of at the right time, but, you know, just kind of seeing the dynamic of there, where if you're pushing, you see one side of the map where one player is pushing the other one back, but if, one of your teammates comes over there to try to double them, that puts that player in a rough position because they're pushing up so far. Another sergeant being flesh hooked. Is that going to be the end of the squad? Oh my god, that one's pretty lucky to get out of there alive. We've already seen a few of those scout squads get wiped like that. So just any time I see the scout sergeant flesh hooked, it's looking really, really rough. Hive Tyrant, meanwhile, getting focused down a lot. We've extremely ranged heavy builds from all of our players. Noisy going with a long tier 1 does actually choose to get the Assault Marines in the end. But, yeah, I mean, just ranged heavy builds from all of our Space Marine players. I mean, actually, technically, ranged heavy builds from really just all of our players. All right, Devastator Marines will be borrowed upon by the Raveners here, and that is going to be Bruce Campbell getting off the field. Does lose... Oh, he lost 2 Tactical Marine models. A lot of requisition to reinforce that. 150 in total. Moment of calm, as we do have the Space Marines securing the contested victory point. Tactical Marines will get that. We'll get that victory point for the chapter. Meanwhile, I mean, we got to double over here. So if we're gonna double this lane, like, it needs to be like a full power bash, because otherwise, the way things work on Catch and Purification Plan, and well, it's not the only map, but a lot of maps is, you know, normally the more valuable lane is the victory point lane, especially in the mid to late game. So if you're going to double this lane, that means you really want to get the power bash, which is more so an early game thing. That's going to be another scout squad going down. Well, I think it's actually the first one in this game, but, you know, another one in the series. So Bruce still struggling. He did call the double. I wonder if he's going to have any players come to support him. So this generator bash is not happening as quickly as I would expect it to. And again, I feel like it has to be a full generator bash to justify how many victory points they're conceding at the moment. Because again, this is free for our Space Marine players at this time. And we even have our Space Marine players trying to even things up in terms of the power bashing. Although it's not quite there yet. Devastator Marines are set up in a position where they will slow down the Hormagaunts. Raveners don't decide to commit the burrow over there. They're still here, but the problem is if they burrow in, yeah, that won't work. There's not enough support for those Raveners for that to work. They didn't even complete the bash, actually. One of those generators still alive. So I'm not entirely sure if that was worth it. Hive Tyrant goes down. Yeah, I mean, basically conceding so far over 100 victory points. Well, actually not 100 yet, but soon to be over 100. For doubling this side of the map, and there has definitely been a time. In fact, there was definitely in a previous faction war where some of these players actually questioned, like, why doubling the right lane of this map? And again, if you're going to do it, you really need the power bash for it to be worth it. All right, Space Marines will be pushed back here, so I do think that means we will see. This is Noisy saying too, but he's okay. So we will see the Tyranids take back the contested victory point at this time, but again, they lost over 100 victory points in the process by choosing to double the right side of the map. And now that they've actually let that up, now the Space Marines are returning the bash favor on the other side. If anything, they're doing a better job. So things looking really good for our Space Marine players in this game so far. Although I think that not looking so good for the Tech Marine. Might have cursed it. Certainly for the Tech Marine. Scouts will be infiltrated. But I think this mostly needs to be a retreat. Grenade, we're going to see a lot of let fly. The Scouts warning you about the grenade they're going to throw. Does kill a nice chunk of models, but I think after this they need to get out of here. Unfortunately, trying to just do the walk back. But I think that's going to result in them just losing some models, as we will see these Scouts just have to get up and walk back after getting disrupted. And they did lose a model. Force Commander activating the Iron Halo. Man, we've really seen... We've seen like a good like half of the Force Commander's war gears in this series. Unfortunately, the Force Commander also going to go down right there. That warrior leap into combat proving to be just so threatening. Warriors as a squad, not the highest in terms of raw damage, but just that the utility of that leap into combat is so useful. Lictor Alpha goes down as well. We got players just throwing away commanders left and right on both sides. Double cap again for our Space Marine players, but the Tyrant Guard is going to be moving up here. We're going to see a Razorback on the way for the Tenso, and Noisy will be pulling out a Dreadnought, while Bruce Campbell already has the Librarian, looking for those smites on these Tyranid blobs. If we go back to the middle, or rather the left side of the map, Tactical Marines going to be taking fire from the Termagants as well as the Raveners. They haven't lost a model just yet. We're going to see another Power Sword Force Commander out of Noisy, just loving that Power Sword. Assault Marines going in for melee against the Tyrant Guard. Tyrant Guard, I feel, could turn around and actually just like start hitting them with those splash damage attacks. Yeah, going for it right now. But then the Assault Marines will actually jump away. Could also put a Melta on this Tyrant Guard. Might want to put the Melta on that Tyrant Guard as the Dreadnought approaches. And the Vengeance rounds are still shooting it to really put the pressure on that Tyrant card, but instead they're going to focus more on the pressure on the Termagants, except now the Melta Bomb finally does go in. Devastator Marines lagging a bit behind. Special attack from the Hive Tyrant unfortunately misses for Assman there. Dodged by the Assault Marines. Tyrant guard being chased after by the Dreadnought. Man, Tyrant guard having a rough day. At about a third of its hit points right now. Even less, actually. More like 25%. Now getting even less than that. Just keeps on taking damage, especially with these plasma attacks chasing after it, doing massive amounts of damage to that super heavy infantry armor. Electroshock Grub is going to go out on the Razorback. Razorback now pretty low on health. Grenade will go out as well. That's a Venom Brood drop, yes, to try to see if they can capitalize on that. Oh no, that's another dead Razorback. Razorbacks have not had a long lifespan in this series. Nice plays there. A very timely Venom Brood drop. Meanwhile, up here, Tactical Marines tanking a lot of damage, so they will need to get out of there. Part of what they're struggling with, though, is that Corrosive Devour from the Ravener Alpha. It does give him a plasma weapon. It does plasma damage, at least. Certainly not a plasma weapon in the lore, I would think. Of course, the default weapon for the Ravener does piercing damage like just about every other Tier 1 ranged weapon. So changing it to plasma does mean it's going to be quite a bit more effective against a lot of these power armor squads. But man, our Space Marine player is actually looking for a triple cap at the moment. Scouts looking for it. Well, they'll get the decap, but they can't actually stick around long enough for the triple cap. Warriors looking to leap into melee, but they'll move away and instead just go for the recap. Tech Marine's going to pull back here. Has the Mastercrafted Bolter, granting that high-powered shot ability. Good as a melee counter, good as just a way of doing some single target burst to snipe a model. Oh no, there's another Flesh Hook on the Scout Squad, and is that going to be a dead Scout Squad? No. The follow-up isn't entirely there. There's still a chance, actually. But the Raveners find themselves getting suppressed, or rather, I don't even know if they really got suppressed, but they were certainly threatened by the Devastators. Now the Devastator's going to be threatened by a different squad of Raveners. Smite going to go in from a Librarian across the lake? This is not really a lake. The body of water. That's the only accurate term. Some nice waterfalls here. So Devastator Marines, of course, they're using Veil of Time. If you are going to get the Librarian, then... yeah, if you're going to get the Librarian, I think... Of course, the Librarian has 3 different upgrades, each one granting him an ability. But out of all of them, I think it's pretty clear that the mandatory one is the Tome of Time to get the Veil of Time. Especially useful on Devastators, but not just them. Also useful on Assault Marines. But Bruce Campbell doesn't have Assault Marines. He's got Devastators. Veil of Time increases the speed of the squad, as well as takes away the setup and teardown time of a setup squad. So that's why it has a special synergy with those kinds of squads. Meanwhile, Bruce Campbell, man, he's having a tough time, and he's getting doubled again. He's getting doubled again, so he's suffered some losses as a result. But again, part of what that means is, it more or less means that this is going to be taken pretty easily. Although, I guess technically, all right, we do see that Tenso is now going to render some aid over to Bruce Campbell. So this does leave it as a 1v1 over here, but it still would, in a lot of cases, I think, be more valuable to really just double this side of the map. I mean, I guess, again, there's still the possibility of a generator bash, and it does, like Bruce Campbell has been suffering some of those. In this case, I think we just saw Veil of Time on the Terminators. I think I caught that. Certainly, that's good on them as well. Terminators, I mean, they can certainly help them out. Since we have Terminators, it might be worthwhile to pick up the Psychic Hood. So we will see Psychic Hood from the Librarian. That one, the Psychic Hood is very much like I would say... actually, I'm not sure whether this is less common than the Force Rod, but certainly less common than the Tome of Time. But the the time when you're definitely going to be getting the Psychic Hood is when you have Terminators, just as to give them another failsafe, another way to get out alive, just in case you run into situations where you've burned your teleport. Can also facilitate slightly more aggressive plays where the Terminators, where you can actually teleport aggressively, knowing that you'll have the Gate of Infinity to get out. Devastator Marines trying to set up. We had a flanking Ravener Brood. I don't know why they... Oh, they stopped because the Devastators got around the line of sight blocker. Devastator's now taking a huge amount of damage, though. All three models still alive. But for the most part, this is Noisy having to back up. Electro Alpha proven to be pretty oppressive. Double Zoanthrope. Also learned recently that now there's actually a cap of 2 Zoanthropes per Tyranid player. So you can't purchase more than 2 Zoanthropes. All right. Oh, why are the scouts face tanking this? They're looking for grenades, but the grenades are mostly dodge. Ooh, that was rough. Unfortunately, I don't think that was a very well managed engagement by the Tenso, and he's paying for it pretty hard here. Oh god, Tenso needs to get out of here so badly. Scout squad down. I think he lost another squad. Oh no, that's super rough. Yeah, he was getting tripled practically. No, actually more, just doubled. Well, the Dreadnought is so far forward. Now it's in so much trouble. It does have Emperor's Fist, but there's nothing to stop the Venom Brood from firing. The Force Commander's trying to get in there, but he's got no health himself either. Oh my god. Our Space Marine player's practically falling apart at this time. Oh my god, the Terminator's also in so much trouble for the Tenso. I mean, if he's just walking away like this, that means the teleport must have already been burned. A model hasn't been lost yet, though, and the Shotgun Blast does come in time. That's huge. Huge to not lose a Terminator model there. Especially with our Space Marine players, and in particular, the Tenso losing so much in that engagement. Devastator model goes down, but that squad will be fine overall. 2 Space Marine heroes were dead. However, 1 was just repurchased. Going to be that Force Commander from Noisy. Ravener Alpha. Oh, man, the Ravener Alpha doesn't go down there. I thought they had another chance, but maybe the Ravener Alpha actually just got out of range of the Terminators. Like, if the definitely if the Terminators had another chance to shoot, Ravener Alpha would have been dead too. Zoanthrope's taking in some shots. Broodnest also here to support the Tyranids. Sustain them with reinforcements. Scouts will pick up the decap, however. And we do have the Hive Tyrant just here in melee. Assault Marines jump in, and man, they've got half health. These Assault Marines probably going to have to go pretty soon. Yeah, they're going to have to go. Yet again, we're seeing this build out of Noisy. So he's really just liking this build. Again, it has great synergy with the Assault Marines. If you can actually get into situations where either one of those, either the Force Commander or the Assault Marines don't get forced off prematurely, they need to actually be close enough to each other so that the Assault Marines will benefit from both the Sacred Standard as well as the buffed battle cry of the Power Sword. Tactical Marines getting a little bit low there. Is that another? That's a Neurothrope. So Neurothrope, I can't even tell which player. I can't see it in the unit tab, but I can read the little YZ right there. So YZ liking those Neurothropes. But big victory point lead for Space Marine players yet again. This really has been their series. Classically, in the past, I think it's been said that Space Marines have often struggled against Tyranids, but I think it was a little bit more in 1v1. Team games probably a little bit less so, and it's also possible that the balance of the game has just changed over time, that may not entirely be true. Oh, Force Commander will go down. Predator exposing rear armor, but I think just nevertheless so much range for man. We're seeing so many commanders go down in this game on both sides. I mean, there's just a lot of range damage on both sides as well. Multiple Raveners for RedRevenge. The Zoanthropes out of Assman. I mean, we've got the ranged Terminators, and we're very consistently seeing the Assault Cannon. So interesting to see that I mean, so it's just raw damage. Raw damage. Well, actually, it's not just raw damage. It is mostly just raw damage. You also do potentially gain the suppression, which we actually did see in Game 1. And you also get the increased range. But here is a Tyranid formation coming to try to break the Space Marine formations. I think that's another dead Tech Marine. Indeed, it is. But some Tyranid squads are nevertheless being forced off right here. However, over here, it looks like Noisy's not having a great end of things. We're going to see the Force Commander go down for him again, which has already been down. This game has been a slobber knocker. These are all very good players, but it has not been a clean game here for everyone. All right, Zoanthropes being shot at by the Predator. So it turns out, made a mistake in my last series, which was corrected by me, that, yeah, the Zoanthrope Focused Warp Blast does not snare. I was massively outdated in terms of my knowledge. I looked through some old patch notes. Turns out the Zoanthrope snare was removed all the way back in 2016. I think that even means there was a time when, for about a year, or at least a period of several months, that the Tyranids actually did not have any kind of ability-based snare. Maybe Rippers, but Thorax Swarm wasn't introduced until 2017. All right, Terminator's shooting in ranged. I would say I understand the reason for the assault cannon. I think the idea there is wanting to look for those kills on the Warriors and the Venom Brood to get the Synapse Backlash. Getting the single target damage out of this. All right, they need to step out of the Paroxysm so that they can stop taking that % damage. Step out of the Paroxysm. All right, we finally see an orbital. I think this was our first orbital of the series. There were so many times in other games where we could have seen orbitals. Unfortunately, it's not a great orbital. Only catches this Zoanthrope. Oh, wow, does actually come so close to wiping that Zoanthrope. But eventually, there's no follow-up, so the Zoanthrope will get out of there alive. Gene Stealer's approaching. They even have the support of the Adrenal Gland Warriors, but there's just overwhelming range damage here with the double Predator. And we see these Predators, at the moment, they are actually keeping their default battle cannon, which, at the moment, actually makes a lot of sense. Now, the default battle cannon, it does do anti-vehicle damage, but the DPS of the las cannon is quite a bit higher. However, if you don't have significant vehicle threats to deal with, then the default battle cannon is significantly better because it hits infantry with very reliable accuracy, and it also does a bit of splash. Technically, the las cannon does splash too, but it also just does not, a very low amount of splash, and it does not hit infantry reliably at all. Ooh, Devastator Marine's going to go down there, the Plasma Devastator, as we see the Venom Brood trying to target the Predator. However, both the Neurothrope as well as the Venom Brood going to have to get out of there. Another Venom Brood still in play, but is just backing off along with these double Raveners. Meanwhile, over here, we're going to see a Carnifex move forward. Carnifex is going to be Thornback, but we also have a Land Raider Redeemer to try to help the Space Marines hold this point. Now, there is, of course, some of those models being popped. That's, again, the advantage of that assault cannon. Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting seeing that in that we could see the Heavy Flamer, which would do a lot of area of effect damage against things like all those Termagants and Hormagaunts. Then there would also be the Cyclone Missile Launcher, which does some area of effect damage. I'm actually not really feeling the idea of the Cyclone Missile Launcher. I think if it wasn't going to be the assault cannon, I would prefer the Heavy Flamer, but very consistently seeing the Heavy Flamer not the Heavy Flamer. Very consistently seeing the Assault Cannon in this series. Again, looking for popping those Warrior and Venom Brood models to trigger the Synapse Backlashes. So Force Commander from Bruce Campbell, different build, Iron Halo and the Thunderhammer. Oh, our Tyranid players, they're running out of time. They've got barely any victory points left. Lictor Alpha will get the decap, so that'll keep our Tyranid players in the game for the time being as the Hive Tyrant going to move forward. Hive Tyrant getting pretty low on health. Does activate the warp field, however, to make him drain energy when he takes damage instead. But I don't think he can finish off. Well, he's just trying to push with the Carnifex, but eventually the Hive Tyrant goes down. Carnifex trying to push after this. I don't think this is enough. Eventually, we're going to see a Melta. Where even is the Melta? If anything, I want to see the Melta sooner than later. I feel like it just hasn't been used yet. There could be something else that I could be watching potentially, but I think... Oh, Tyrannoformation to try to support it. Finally, the Melta goes in. But the multi-Melta... Is the multi-Melta still able to target the Carnifex? Because that's actually, I think, the primary source of damage against the Carnifex, except for the fact that a Las Cannon Devastator setting up, and that should be the end of the Carnifex. Wow. I'm not sure why it survived there. Okay, Carnifex... Oh, Carnifex got the sync kill. So for the time being, it's not going to die, but it'll die very, very soon. Sync kill was cool, but in the end, not worth it. Certainly one of the coolest sync kills in the game, but again, you sync kill a Force Commander when he's actually pretty close to his base, and it's an easy revive for your opponent. Here we go, though. That's going to be a fully upgraded Force... I actually don't think he was fully upgraded. That might have mean that he canceled. Like, Bruce might have actually canceled the Psychic Hood. Or I forget. I'm trying to remember the Librarian's health values. Does he... I forget if he starts at 600 or 700. Because each War Gear upgrade on the Librarian also increases his health by 100. So we saw the Force Barrier right there. Alright, our Tyranid players holding on to dear life for the moment, but they've only got 10 victory points left to work with, so this is actually really tough for them. They basically can't afford to ever be forced off the middle ever again. And why aren't they capturing this? Oh no, they're not capturing this. If they're not capturing this, I mean... Like, of course it's stalled out at 1-to-1, so they're not losing at the moment, but they're also not exerting victory point pressure in their favor, which they need to start doing. So instead, they're just going to be fighting. It might even be... Yeah, now, at this point, it's actually too late to get the victory point captured. Now they need to win a fight. Unless they've got a Hive Tyrant here. But the Hive Tyrant's dead, so that's not happening. Terminators having to teleport back. Double Terminators teleport back. One squad of Terminators still here, though. This one for Bruce Campbell. They finally teleport back. Yeah, I mean, the Terminators actually making life pretty hard. Those ranged Terminators actually did a huge amount of work in this series. Just so much range damage going out from them. And then when someone gets close to them, they just teleport back. So it's not really punished that hard. All right, double cap for the Space Marines, and then it's just to concede before the victory points actually fully tick down. So that ends up being a 3-0 in favor of our Space Marine players. So it's a sweep, but I mean, certainly the games were quite good. Hope you enjoyed it, and have a good night.